Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. Oh, it's so hot. Oh, that's so much hotter than I expected it to be. Whoops. I guess usually I take a couple more minutes in between pouring this and sitting down to actually do this. Anyway, for D&D today, I have my Scooby-Doo mug that my fiance got me 2 years ago now for Christmas. And in it, I have some Hardy & Sons organic gunpowder green tea. I need to get some more of this, actually. I'm starting to run out. I have that most days, even if I'm not having it on the show. I do go through it kind of fast. But anyway, let's talk about what it is that we are talking about today. Today, I want to talk about taking special interests that individuals might have and applying them to your D&D game. That could be the special interest of the player, the special interest of the dungeon master, anything like that. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of different ways to do that. We're going to start off with the most broad way that I have sort of conceived of, applying it to dungeon masters specifically. Dungeon Masters, you are kind of in control of pretty much the entire game, and so you are sort of the one that has the ability to apply these things directly to the game, no matter what, really. You are gifted this opportunity to create this world in whatever way you want to do it. I will say that more specifically, this sort of thing works best in homebrew worlds, as opposed to pre-written modules, so you're not rewriting a bunch of stuff, which is somehow most of the time harder than just creating something from scratch. Not always, but I find it to be more difficult that way. And so you can apply your special interests to the games that you are running specifically. Now, in case it is not clear what I mean by special interests, I'm talking about anything that you, as an individual human being, might know a little bit too much about. The example I'll run with here, I won't say it's necessarily a good example, but the example I'll run with here, because they are mine, for some reason, I really, really like space, and so like when the Circle of Stars Druid came out, I was fixated and fascinated, and I spent a lot of time reading up on that, figuring it out, and then obviously I played one. I made the character on video, in season 1, and that show is going to be launching very, very soon here, and I'm very excited about it. It was for a stream game, which is why it's on a show. I love him dearly. He is my favorite character I've gotten to play for sure. But I don't necessarily know a whole lot about space, but I really, really like it, and I really enjoyed learning the things that I have about it. Additionally, I have a degree in neuroscience, which doesn't necessarily super apply to Dungeons & Dragons often, but I really like to explore concepts that are... because D&D is less of a scientific game and more of a magic game, you can't really explore as many super scientific topics in it, but I really like the things that affect perception, affect reality, and deal with the psyche of different characters, particularly like spells and stuff like that. So I fixate on those things a lot. And while in my home game that I'm running right now, specifically, I haven't been applying a lot of the really, really weird, intricate things that I find in those, because I was teaching an entirely new set of players how to play. So I wanted to give them sort of the more traditional fantasy adventure. It is something that I have been working on extensively behind the scenes. That's a long-winded way of saying that special interests are the things that you have a lot of knowledge on, a hyperfixation on, anything like that. Maybe you're really into sports and are working on getting into D&D or something like that. There are third-party rule sets, in addition to the ability to create your own rule sets, for sports being in the games. This whole video is a result of somebody asking me why there aren't the Olympics in D&D, because the Olympics are going on right now. And I said, well, there can be. You just have to put them in there. So, sorry. I had to backpedal a little bit. I missed that part in my notes. I realized that I had jumped straight into it. So anyway, the first way that you can apply these interests is if you are the DM. You can work them directly into your sort of world-building scheme, world-building plan. If you are, I'm going to stick with the things I know here, obviously. If you're really into theater, you can have several traveling theater troupes, stuff like that, to add this element to the game that you're going to know a lot about, that you will be able to present the party with, to have them interact with it pretty readily and pretty easily. Maybe you can even build the campaign around those things so that you're scratching that itch in your brain, while at the same time beginning to impart a little bit of the knowledge that you have on the people you're playing with, or really anything like that. So as the DM, you are given the ability to bake those things directly into the game. They don't need to be like entrenched deeply in world lore. It can literally be something as simple as there are a lot of traveling theater troupes here, or if you're really into rocks, and you want to bake it into the world lore. And when I say rocks, I mean like geology as a whole. You can talk about how like there is a lot of different layers and deposits and things like that within the crust of the world, within like the world's ability, or not ability, the world's formation and stuff like that, so that there's a lot for the players to explore in that sort of facet of the game. Which it can be really cool, and because you know a lot about it, you have that part of the prep essentially locked up already because you spent time learning about it. The second one, and really, I've sort of split it up into DM and player here, but that's just kind of how it goes. The second one is actually the crossover between DM and player, which is where if you... No. I am changing my mind on the fly here. I'm switching those. I'm doing player first, and then I'll do DM/player. As a player, if you want to be able to apply your special interest, you can build your character around it, obviously, or you can give them a specific hobby or something like that that is a part of that. Obviously, your characters can know how to do things that you don't know how to do in real life. Like, I don't know anything about ships or sailing or anything, and if you've seen Campaign 2 of Critical Role, neither does Travis Willingham, but you can have a character that knows everything about that. That's why you're not just playing yourself. You're playing this magical mystery person in a world of fantasy. And so you can take on those other characteristics, but this is also your place to apply those special interests of yours. If you are super into woodworking, you can have your character be extremely good at woodworking. Nothing is stopping you from making that the character choice that you're going with, because you can. You really just can, honestly. And so you can bake it into your character as a hobby, or if it is a... I don't want to say mainline, but like if it's a little bit less niche, I guess, than specifying down to you being really into, I don't know, collecting Russian nesting dolls or something like that. If it's a little bit bigger, you can spin one of the existing subclasses into that if it doesn't already perfectly fit it. If you have a subclass that you are, ready to play, and you can figure out a way to apply that interest to it, then you're golden. You're set to go. You don't have to do a lot of extra work here. Whereas maybe you need to rewrite a couple of things. Like if you're into that geology sort of thing, if you're into geology or that sort of thing, there we go. And you want to play a druid, you can spin it in such a way that you could tweak, I would say probably Circle of the Land or something like that, to be more about the earth and rocks and stuff like that that's around you, which is cool, honestly. And if you can't spin your subclass, there is background. Background is the sort of... it's the best place to put that sort of thing, because then it becomes baked into your character without having to do a bunch of like extra legwork about where exactly that sort of thing is going to fit in to your individual character as you go through stuff, obviously. And And then just sort of outfitting yourself with the right tools to be able to, you know, adequately pursue, we'll say, that special interest that you want to have portrayed in this character. So if you are into geology, or, you know, that general sort of thing. I don't know why I keep going back to geology. It's not one of mine, but that's not the point. You can pick up any of the toolkits that will help you with that, in particular, like different kinds of artisans tools or that sort of thing. But I'm sure your DM would also be more than happy to let you get some kind of kit that would allow you to, like, actually do tests on rocks, like a modified alchemist kit or something like that. And so as long as you are willing to sort of think ahead about what it is you want to have that character, like, pull in, I'm sure there's a easy way for your DM to make that work. Now we're going to come to number 3 here and go to the DM/player. And you'll see why I switched that in just a second. If you are a player or you are a DM that really want to have this thing baked into your world, and you want to have mechanical benefits to it, and it is outside of what is currently put forth in the official published materials, this is where you as a player or you as a DM collaborate with a player. Player collaborates with DM, DM collaborates with player. There we go. To create something. D&D is obviously a collaborative storytelling experience. You are there to tell a story. You're there to collaborate with the people around the table, including the dungeon master or including the players, depending upon which side of the screen you're sitting on. Everybody that's at the table really kind of has equal footing. The DM is just the one that facilitates stuff that happens. And so you can, in that creation phase, make something that works sort of both ways here. If there weren't, I'm going to go back to me for a second. If there weren't a Circle of Stars druid, or let's say I wanted to play a bard that was obsessed with the stars or something like that, and there's no, like, good space-based bard, because the cosmos in a Dungeons and Dragons game are going to be this more, like, well, I was going to say ethereal sort of mystical thing, but there is literally the ethereal plane, which is not the cosmos, and there's the astral sea, which is the cosmos sort of thing. But you get what I mean. It is more of an amorphous, non-scientific place, essentially, in Dungeons and Dragons. But if I wanted to play a bard, like a College of the Cosmos bard or something like that, I could work with the Dungeon Master to create that. Or I could work with the players and let them know that, hey, I'm creating this bard subclass as the DM. If you guys want to play this character in particular. And so you have, obviously, this ability to just create stuff as you go through here. Now, if you are into a campaign already and you realize, man, I really want to have this manifest a little bit. I want to be able to apply this special interest to my game while also, you know, gaining the ability to do some stuff with it. There are magic items for that. There are custom feats for that. You can create your own feats. You can create your own magic items, or you can interact with the DM or player, again, in some way to create these extra things that will allow you to manifest that special interest within your actual game. There are plenty of roads here for you to take in order to make that happen for yourself, essentially. Now, I hope it makes sense why I switched the player and the player/DM one, because the first two you can do kind of on your own independently, while you should talk to the people who are going to be interacting with it, be it the DM or the players, about what's going on there. You can do it mostly solo. It's when you get to the player's side, or the, like, creation of things side for players or for the DM, that you kind of need to start really working with somebody. And it is a lot more labor intensive to do, but as long as everybody is kind of under the understanding, under the impression, with the understanding, there we go, that things that are homemade and homebrewed are subject to change at pretty much any time, then everybody's gonna be on the same page, and that is a-okay. So as long as, you know, it's cool with everybody, essentially, that is something that they make happen, that's fine. That's totally fine. And honestly, kind of encouraged, because D&D is about collaboration and creation and imagination, really. And there's nothing that says that you are stuck in what is already published. And honestly, there's no reason for you not to try and bring some of the things that you love in the real world into this fantasy game that you, in theory, also love. And that's not to shame people into trying to do that. Obviously, that it just is a good fun time, I think. But that is everything on that I have to talk to you guys about today. Let's move on to what shows / streams are happening today and this weekend, because it is Friday. We have I had to stop writing them on my whiteboard, and I have to just read them off of my iPad now because I have so many of them to tell you guys about, which I'm excited about, obviously. But let's go ahead and run through them real quick. Friday, today, we have Mayhem D&D, Off the Rails, Oxventure, Just Roll With It, The Strings of Fate, Rolling with Difficulty, The World of Low, and The Crown DM. That is today, Friday. Saturday, we actually have a newcomer to Saturday. Before we only had one, now we have two. We have Dice Funk and Strange Hungers. Strange Hungers is on the Total Party Kiss channel. It is different than the name of the actual show, necessarily. So that's important. And then Sunday, our longer list here. The reason that I couldn't actually fit it all. We have Super Idols, Roll for Your Life, that is, with a 4. Grinning Griffin, Dungeon Drunks, Library of Nightmares, The Chaos Brigade, Rise of the Forsaken, Chromatic Diced, The Stradcast, and High Rollers. So, if you're looking for a little bit of D&D this weekend, please go check any of those out. I know they will appreciate the patronage, and it's good to expand your D&D horizons as you can and as you see fit. Now, a huge thank you to Arcane Anthems, who is the one who created all of the music that you guys hear behind this show every time you start an episode up. This stuff is amazing. You can find it on Apple Music, Spotify, and Patreon. Definitely go check him out. It's all RPG music. It's all free. So he can help you get your game into the right sort of general headspace as you are trying to build tension or create an environment. But that is everything I have to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that really make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. I would really appreciate it, obviously. But as that is everything I have to tell you guys, don't forget, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.